G'day. So, chances are if you're on this video, you've probably watched the previous build videos on this thing, the Foxeer Caesar race build that I did using almost completely Foxeer components. And chances are you've probably seen this race in Canberra. If you haven't, I'll link those videos in the description, but otherwise this is sort of my final setup video showing the settings changes I made from back when I did the build video. Sort of a final discussion on how I think this thing performed, and then yeah, a couple other little build notes. So let's get on the bench and have a look. So the only physical change to this quad since the build video is the capacitor is now held on basically like my JS ones. I just have a small bit of motor wire going from the capacitor to the ESC. This just makes it so it has some wiggle room, so in crashes, mid-airs, whatever sort of sudden jolts there might be, or any vibrations, they're just less likely to damage this and break the connection. One thing I did forget to do actually, even now that I'm looking, is secure this to the XT60. So I'll just use a cable tie around it, just to make it wobble around a touch less than what it is now. I haven't actually flown this since last time. I got it repaired, just did a quick test hover and that's it. For the actual software changes, however, what we'll do is go into presets, look under authors for CT Snooze, grab the 4S 3-inch to 5-inch race tune, and then we want to use RPM enabled normal build. I'm using tracer, so 250 Hz, default RC smoothing, full sag compensation, no deadband. If you're using an accelerometer, arm at any angle, and if you want to try his rates, you can try his rates there. Normally, you would then choose pick and save and reboot. In my case, it's already done, so I'm just going to close it. Then for the next changes, under PID tuning, use these sliders. I'll just hold the camera still so you can pause the video and grab that. And then for the next change, over here, it's a small setting, throttle boost. On all my quads, I set this to 0. It's just how I've learnt to fly. So you can sort of think of throttle boost as like feed forward for your throttle. In my case, I just leave it at 0 because it's what I know. But yeah, feel free to have a play around with that. The default is 5%. And to be honest, I actually fly totally fine with that. I'm just stubborn and choosing to stick with 0. My rates are also there as presets, but if you want to see them, here they are, and that's the throttle expo that I use. So as far as any recommendations I'd make as far as potential upgrades or changes to this build, the easiest one I can recommend is give the R42s a go. Admittedly, I am quite biased to these because these are the main propeller I fly. Also, they were developed the same time as the BMS V1 line. So in the case of the V1s and V2 BMS motors, this motor prop combo is really optimized for each other. So there is a big chance here that because of the motor choice that I've picked for this build, that this is simply the better option. What I suspect is happening is these are flexing at high throttle, which causes a little bit of inconsistency at the upper end. It also means that your top speed is significantly handicapped. What I did find in the little testing that I did, and admittedly it was only maybe 10 or 20 flights, this led to a consistent 5% improvement in lap time, with also 10% more battery left in the tank. So that is pretty significant, especially over smaller tracks that can equate to entire extra laps. So this could be a case of the optimization of the motor to the prop. It could be a case of this KV being a little bit much for this propeller, so if I just ran a throttle limit, maybe I would get those efficiency gains back. Regardless, I did find that I did perform better with these, and I would recommend it for the time being. One thing to keep in mind though is if you do like the R38s or the MCK props, you may actually find yourself better with these simply because these have a similar sort of feel. If you fly these more precisely, if you have more control, then you're going to fly more efficiently. So in that case, yeah, you could net gains back. In my case though, I was straight out quicker with this and using less battery at the same time. Another possible change would be maybe switch to a TBS VTX and VTX antenna. This one, I'm sort of putting in air quotes because I've only ever used one of these Foxeer antennas and I've only ever used one of these Foxeer VTXs. So when we were at the race, straight away, Timmy, the guy running the whole event, said, hey, your power output's looking a little low. And sure enough, I was having some video issues. We ended up finding a channel where I could fly with no issues. But I'm not sure if this is isolated to just this VTX and VTX antenna that I got, or if it's actually a problem with the rest of the gear. I'm inclined to think it's an isolated issue, and me practicing on my own never picked anything up because I was just on my own. But yeah, with 8 other quads and using an RF Explorer, this was outputting less power than other 25 milliwatt VTXs. So there you go, that's all the changes that I've made since the last uploads about this quad. Hope you guys enjoyed it, hope you found it useful, and I guess I'll see you in another video sometime soon. See yous!